Welcome back to the Fish Tank, presented by iHeart Radio, right here on the Miami Dolphins Podcast Network. Seth Levit, and the only podcaster to lead the league in receptions and bowl a perfect game. Look it up. O.J. McDuffie. Juice, how we feeling, man?
Is that factual?
It is until someone proves it wrong.
Damn right it is, man. That's
if
good
someone
stuff,
can
man.
find that out, then they can have it.
I'm doing great, man. You know, me, Big Seth, we get into the building. We always talk about, getting into the building, man. But today's guest, obviously, is one of the guys that we've been hunting down, man.
Been hunting down, hasn't been in the Fish Tank since 2018. But at that point, he wasn't the 11th member of the Miami Dolphins to enter the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Hall of Famer Zach Thomas, welcome back to the Fish Tank.
Hey, good to be back, man.
Yeah, how you feeling?
I feel good.
Riding high, yeah.
He's still Big Seth. You see it, right?
Yeah, I mean, how could you not be? You know what, there's so much to talk about, and we're going to get into everything. We all got to see the moment. The Hall of Fame did an unbelievable job. I mean, the knocks in the hotel were really cool, but what they did this year was incredible. And what an incredible moment to see you walk into your house. Mom takes you out to lunch. Yeah. You think that it's just a normal lunch with mom, and you're walking up the stairs in your house like you've probably done a million times, and there's Jimmy in his gold jacket. We saw your reaction. We all felt it. Tell us what we didn't see. Like, what were you feeling in that moment? I just, like, everything that had to kind of build up to that moment. What's going through your head?
Well, I mean, I was surprised, and it was very emotional. Going up the stairs, I couldn't breathe, and so that's why I was moving like a penguin, man, going up like this, side to side. I couldn't even get up the stairs. Wow. And but it was powerful because of Jimmy. Jimmy's my guy. He gave me the opportunity, and he started me after the first preseason game, and so I owe him everything, and I didn't fit the part either, so for him just to throw me in from the jump was respect, and but to my family being there too, because they've known me for, they didn't know me, but I played for 28 years of football, and they were along the journey the whole time. And they were very supportive. My parents gave me every opportunity to succeed. And so I rode their backs for a long way, but they knew how much I loved the game. I was obsessed with it. So for them to be there and enjoy that special moment was awesome.
And are you thinking about all that in that moment? Like, I mean, clearly you were just overwhelmed with emotion. So how much is that motor just running and you're thinking about all, people talk about your life flashing before your eyes. How much of that was going through your head in that moment?
It's like everything came all at once, and I'm very grateful. The game's been so good to me, but yeah, it's a blur when I look back at it. But a special moment, they got it all on video, and yes, I cried.
Yeah, that's all right.
But
we know it won't be the last time.
No, it won't. But it played out perfectly.
So when the cameras turn off, like, do you guys, is it a celebration? Or are you just kind of like overwhelmed and I need some space? Like, what happens after?
I went and got Jimmy a beer.
Okay.
And made sure.
Yeah,
it wasn't a Heineken. It was a Modelo. So
you didn't know he was coming.
That's quality, though. You got quality.
It wasn't domestic, but it was. He was happy with it, so we sat there and just reminisced and exaggerate old stories and stuff like that.
Outstanding.
So
that's what we're here
awesome.
for.
Awesome moment.
Earlier, Seth mentioned the NFL honors. That was obviously an incredible night. But you were sitting on this for a couple of days, bro. And now when NFL honors are on, you finally get a chance, to go out there and celebrate it. Not only that with your former teammates, but now also with your new gold jacket teammates, man. How was that, man? For one, having to sit on it for a few days.
Yeah.
And then obviously, when that moment happened, when you came on stage.
Well, looking back, we sat on it for 2 weeks. Even my kids.
Was it 2 weeks?
How about my kids? They kept it all secret. I mean,
because they go to school the next day.
I think my dad told a dentist back home or something. It was just.
I know you Thomases and secrets now.
I know it. You're exactly right. But that night before the announcement, I'm standing backstage with Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Kurt Warner, just talking football, and I'm just like, man, these are legends, and now I'm part of that team. It's very humbling. At the end of the night, I remember looking at my phone, and it was like 600 texts and climbing, And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and it took me about a week to get back to everybody. It reconnected me with a lot of old teammates and then coaches and distant family.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, so it was cool.
I think you were just in Canton last week or what have you. You know, they bring the incoming gold jackets in, and you kind of do your tour now that it's your house. And I remember being there in '05 when Marino went in, and you're playing in the Hall of Fame game. There's this great picture, Juice, of Urlacher and Zach and JT, because we're playing the Bears, and you guys are just standing in the Hall of Fame because they give the players a tour. And now you guys are going to be there forever. What was it like going back to the Hall last week for the first time, knowing that this is your forever football home?
Yeah, you know, and Canton is a little small town. You know, Canton being from Ohio, and the people out there, man, super friendly. I don't know if it's because I'm a Hall of Famer now, but they
you never know.
They super friendly. The handshakes, the eye contact. It's so cool to be out there, but to go through, you know, the room of busts was awesome.
Yeah.
Like all the linebackers you look back at, you got Junior in there, you know, got JT in there, just, you know, Mike Singletary, I could keep going, Derek Brooks, all these guys, Ray Lewis, Urlacher, who you just mentioned. I mean, like, wow, that's a special family. And, you know, but just like I said earlier, we all rode on somebody else's back just to get there. So that's what I'm out there to represent, all our teammates and coaches along the way, and people help me, you know, because I didn't do this all by myself, and I'm very grateful for that.
Did they show you, like, okay, this is where the class of 2023, where the busts are going to go?
Yeah, they did, and I don't know if they got enough room on that wall for my head.
That's a big block.
That's a lot of bronze.
It is.
That's a lot of bronze. Value's going up.
I'm trying to see if I should smile. What would you think? Smile or be more?
Do you
like
get to make that decision, or is the artist not making that
I think you should go with the smile you had when we were playing basketball and somebody fouled you, and you wish they would. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
That smile right there is kind of
like
bold.
this.
It's kind of bold. It's like,
I like that.
Yeah, like
Hey, you had my back always out
All
there,
day.
especially when there's a hard foul.
yeah, all day, man.
So-
I mean, we got to protect our prized possession, man.
Still gotta go to
We got
work
some
in
of these
the morning.
guys
Yeah,
that come out there
absolutely.
to play. They can't play like that. Seth mentions that '05, you know, man, you guys are in the Hall, and at that point, you were in your 10th season. You were already had a legendary career at that point. Did you ever think that at that point that you one day you're going to be right there with some of those guys, some of those busts?
Well, back in '05, what you were mentioning when we were out there, and then we were there for the induction of Marino, I never would have thought that I'd be on the same team again with Dan. But even, I remember coming in as a rookie, and you know Dan's presence. He's a legend, you know, and I remember telling him, hey, man, I remember watching you back when you first came in the league when I was in the 3rd grade, right? So he's like, hey, you're showing my age
He loved
here.
hearing that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. So think about that. And then I'm going in with Dan the man. But I was always in the moment, you know, because I always wanted to be, even if I was playing well, be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that was me playing, you know, mind games with myself just to get the best out of my prep. And I feel like if you look back at everything while you're playing, you can't really enjoy the ride if you're going to try to get the best out of yourself. And that was the one thing I kind of understood, not earlier on, but later on, that you had to really be, you know, in the moment at the time to get the best out of your prep and the best out of your play. Because it's a short window, man. And that window, even if, you know, played 13 years, it went by like that. And so you got to know that's just a little bit of time of sacrifice, you know, for a lifetime of pride.
You know, those first few years, right, you're just trying to establish yourself and build that name. But like Juice is talking about in '05, now you're talking year 9, year 10. Do you start to understand that window is even, and 10 years in this league, I mean, it's unbelievable.
At that position as well.
Yeah, especially at that position and the way this guy played it.
Yeah.
But you start to embrace that even more because, like, you know, you start saying, man, what is the longevity here now, 10 years into this thing?
Right. You're always looking at, I mean, it didn't matter if I had 5 more years, you're looking at the finish line.
Right.
Because, you know, we always went on from high school to college to pro, right? Well, there's nothing after
that, yeah.
You know? And so I feel like in that 10th year, you start to get smarter, and you both know the locker room. I was more efficient with my time when I got there because I knew if I was more efficient at work, I'd have more rest time at home. And so I get in there, and instead of watching 10 replays of Sports Center, or in the corner with the dumb talk. You know the dumb talk.
Oh, yeah.
I was part of that dumb talk as a young, rookie. But you waste so much time in the facility. And so instead of doing all that, I was like, hey, getting some prehab in, getting some weight room in, some film in. And that's when I feel like you figure it out, but your body starts to let you down. But at that time, I feel like 2005, I'm peaking, man, with my prep. And that's what I miss most.
I talk about, I say it's people all the time, like Zach, even before, like nowadays where they get breakfast, lunch, and dinner here, if they want it. You were one of the only guys that was ordering dinner here. You know what I mean? 'Cause it was hard. It was hard to take film home back in the day. You
ordering it from the coaches or
whoever it was, whatever it was.
You were sneaking it down.
But he was saying he was staying here eating all those meals, while
All
you were
night,
here,
man.
where a lot of guys were they were gone. Out of the building, man. And we'll talk a little bit more about, how much film study you did, man. But that's what you're talking about. You weren't you were doing that really early in your career, where a lot of guys in their early 20s were out. Living in South Florida, they're out. You know what I mean?
I feel like, and I wasn't really smart earlier in my career. I got away with it, because of my youth. But even prep, I wasted a lot of time in watching film. But you start to, with experience, man, you start to understand it, knowing what can help you in the game. And when you start to understand, that's pretty cool. Even if I was wasting the time early on in my career, mentally on the field, you feel like you still at that edge because you really prepared. It's like studying for a test, man. You're ready to go take it. And that's where I feel like I got the best out of myself. And it was more for between the ears than even knowing one play, because all it takes is one play. One play from that prep. That's a game changer, right? Like you could have a bad game, but one great play, and then nobody's going to remember all the rest of it.
So, you talked about the amount of time that you played, and you could have played longer, what have you, but you retired when you did. You became eligible for the Hall of Fame in 2014. And then it was kind of the waiting game. So in the second year of his being a finalist, Zach was in my office. He was helping me out with one of my other 25 podcast projects, and he was sitting in my office and the phone rings and he looks down and he's like, oh, this is David Baker, who was the president of the Hall of Fame at that time. He goes, I got to take this. And it wasn't the call that you wanted at that time. Probably better for television history that you got the Jimmy Johnson walking up the stairs crying than sitting alone with me.
Crying on your shoulder.
Oh my God. Yeah, can you imagine what a waste that would have been? Yeah. But talk about that call, because I felt like at that moment, even though he was telling you no, it almost seemed like it became more a matter of when and not if at that point.
Yeah, even at that time though, it's all perspective, how I looked at everything. Because just like I keep mentioning, we rode the backs of so many others, and you're only here because of that. And to be in the conversation, I'm like, I won, man. I wasn't ever looking at it, like even if I didn't make it, just to be in the conversation, to make it as a finalist, I looked at it as like, man, you know where I came from. Yeah. A small town, man. Like, you think I would even, think one day I'd be in the conversation? I didn't even know I'd be able to make it to the NFL.
Are you the first Pampa harvester that will make it to the NFL Hall of Fame?
Yes. First Texas Tech Red Raider too.
Really?
Wow. But not going to be the last, And so
I like that.
It was just, to me, how it's all perspective, how you look at it. And I didn't let ego get in the way, because, man, there's so many more factors that make you the player you are. Yeah. I don't care if you're a great receiver, Juice, if you don't have a quarterback or an offensive line to block for that quarterback, right? So that's the only reason you're great. It's a team game, an individual award. So I never lost that where game owes me something. You kidding me? That's not me. You know that. And so I never wanted to go out. That's why I never went out to campaign. You're not going to hear me campaign, because I know there's more to it, man. You got to get lucky in the lucky situation, the system that I got put in from the beginning. And you got to have a coach that believes in you, and then your players to believe in you. And that's what I feel like, I just got. It was lucky. It was a little luck. Yeah, I understand.
That's a part of it all, but
you can give yourself a little credit.
Bit, yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
You made a player.
We know better. Yeah,
you made a player too.
Yeah.
Did you ever doubt though? Like, I understand everything that you're saying, but did you ever think about, or was it not even the type of thing that you think about? That like, okay, he gave you that call. This will be the year you're a finalist again. Do you feel like you're on the treadmill? Do you think it'll ever happen? Or did you start to believe, okay, my time will come?
I believe my time would have come, because the more you're a finalist, and what was it, 3 or 4 years I was a finalist.
Yeah.
And, that's when I started thinking about it. And then you think about it for maybe a week. It's the most prestigious honor, man. Yes. I'm not going to act like it's not. Like it didn't affect me. It didn't affect me, man. What can I do now? Right. I wish I had that motivation when I played.
Yeah.
What are you going to motivate? I mean, I don't know. It wasn't one of those that you lose sleep at night about, but it's the most prestigious honor. But I didn't want to take away anything from the guys that made it before me.
That's a good point.
You kidding me? It's all respect for these guys. And even the guys that haven't been they're in the conversation. Everybody could be deserving. And I'm not that guy. It's not me to compare, man.
We talked to some of your former teammates, and one of the things that really came across from some of the guys, especially Izzo, was they were getting really defensive about the fact that they thought that everything was incredible about you because your reputation was just because of your preparation. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way too, because not only were that, but you're just a badass dude. Sometimes, people call you as an overachiever. I just call you the ultimate achiever, like you talked about earlier. So what do you say to those people that, only think that your preparation is what got you here, instead of realizing how badass you were as a linebacker and as a football player?
I mean, I'll own that, like preparation. I mean, when I was playing, I always, with the overachiever label, I saw that as disrespect, right? Same with try hard guy. Oh, I hated that.
Yeah, that's the worst right there.
Oh, man.
That's the worst one right
that's
there.
Where, it helped motivate me. But now with preparation, that's part of the game.
It better be, right?
Right. And so, but you have to have talent to be in the NFL. We all know that. But I mean, the way I look at it is more like if you're a strong guy and somebody just says, oh, he's a gym rat, okay. Well, there's a reason.
Why is that negative?
Why is that? So for me, I mean, when I played, to hear all that, I would be pissed. But now that I'm Hall of Famer, who cares?
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I'll own it. I'm
right.
like, yeah, man. My prep was good, man. That's the one thing I will, pat myself on the back, man. My prep was good, man, and it was a skill I trained. But that's what I love about the game. It's the locker room, but I miss the prep, man.
Game plan is nice, right?
And you find one little thing on the tape, and if they just even line in that during the game, and you're like, I know it's coming. That right there is like such a high, especially if you make the play, and you're like, I own this team, right? It could be one play out of 70 plays. Yeah. But it's just, that is what I miss. It's irreplaceable,
It's so funny you say that real quick, Big Seth, because I hear the story with Peyton Manning talking about, he would check and then you would check. And then you would check, and then it seemed like you were in his head, his playbook. Like you were talking about your preparation, but he kind of figured that you knew exactly what the hell he was doing too. One of the smartest guys ever played a game on the other side of football.
Yeah, and you know what? I had fun when we played up in Indy because it was quiet when the offense was out.
I remember you telling me that.
That makes a difference, and it's hard when you're playing here. And it's hard on him as well, but we played them in our division twice a year until they moved out. But I remember this one play, they do a Y flex, he's outside the receiver, and they bring in two backs, and they're always 21 personnel. Well, 11 personnel, and they brought in 21. And so they put the tight end out wide. And on tape, for the last 2 years, they run the lead. And all I said, I'm not knowing, I know they're going to the 3-tech, so I'm just like yell lead right at the start, and I just see him like, and I blitz it, and hey, you know what? I'm like, if it wasn't a lead, I'm gonna hit Marcus Pollard's gonna be behind me or whatever. But I hit it, made the play, and just got up and just, I'm in your book, boy. I'm in your book all day, But that was one play.
Yeah,
so maybe he's thinking that's all it takes is that one play, and they thinking you're in their playbook, and I wasn't. And you can't be thinking like that anyway. You got to react. Even if you know the play, you can overrun the play, right?
And what about another guy that mentioned you in the Hall of Fame speech, Kevin Mawae?
Zach Thomas was my nemesis. My first year with the Jets, before the first game, we each played against each other, Bill Parcells told me in front of my entire team, if you don't block Thomas, we won't win the game. And for the next 16 matchups, I never forgot that. Zach was one of, if not the smartest player I ever faced. He loved the game, had fun when he played, and he brought the best out in me.
He talked about, that's got to be, that matchup right there you had to deal with a couple times a year as well, but he gave you so much respect you know what I mean? And he talked about how tough that was. What about that?
Just say it in his induction speech is pretty cool. I mean, he's probably the reason I didn't go in earlier. But he was a beast, you know, and I remember the first time I played him, it's probably my worst game. It was out in New York. We started 3-0. We went out there. And I can remember to this day, I just got comfortable, I guess, because I was playing good, man, in those first 3 games. And so I just remember getting humbled real quick. And I'm like, hey, this guy, because he could pull to the perimeter behind the line of scrimmage. If a center especially is trying to come directly out,
you got no chance.
None, you know, and especially when you're aligned right. But when you can pull around, but he can get around square, that's where, you know, his game was really good. Because a lot of guys go out there pulling and he just kind of, their momentum take them out of the way. But he could be under control, get his hands on you. Yeah, he was good, man. And a lot of respect for him to even say that. Hey, trust me, he'll be in my induction speech, even though he's a Jet.
No doubt.
But he's gonna be in my speech.
Yeah, we'll have to deal with that.
And one more thing, first thing they talked about in New England was if we can't block this guy, we can't beat him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, you know, usually talk about we got to stop this running back, we got to stop this quarterback, we got to stop this guy. They said if they couldn't block you, couldn't get to you, we can't beat them. It's over.
Yeah.
You talk about a team that went on a run like no other, New England, and they had, that was their game plan with Zach Thomas.
Well, I think that's the biggest amount of respect. You know, I was out in the Super Bowl and I saw Brian Daboll out there and he came up to me, you know, congratulated me, but he said, hey, Zach, of all players, we had a play that was just called Crack Zach.
Crack
and I thought I saw that as respect. And he says, you remember the play? I was like, yeah, David Givens. I remember. Because
Did you know it was called Crack Zach?
And he said that Belichick got in the team meeting and says, we're gonna run Crack Zach, and I don't care if we get 1 yard, but you're gonna go take him out. Wow. And so I just remember they ran it a couple times in the game. So I think the second time I just go right at David Givens and just blast it. I don't know what just go at him and I don't know if they even picked up a yard, but that was respect right there for Bill Belichick to just say, hey, you're gonna call a play just to kind of get in your head. I know Charlie Weiss, he was the coordinator there, so he always gave me fits, but they always had something for me in the run game, but had something in the pass game for JT. And JT always played great against Tom, man, and that's why he's a Hall of Famer, you know.
You know, nobody makes the Hall of Fame, you know, obviously without, you know, just a body of work that screams excellence, guaranteed, right? But there's also some signature moments. You know, so Seth and I, we're sitting back, we're thinking about our signature moment that we felt, you know, when it came to Zach Thomas. And we're gonna share our moments with you, you know, and see if it stands out in your mind. So mine, you know, signature moment came during your first game as a pro, September 1st, 1996. You celebrate your 23rd birthday by knocking the, excuse my French, out of Sean Jefferson. And I remember that like it was yesterday. Because, you know, I was like, it was amazing because I look back at it, you know, and it seemed like everybody else was going one way, but you were going the other way. How were you feeling when you made that play?
I tell you what, it's my first game, and what I remember, this might be too much, but when a lineman's coming to take me on, that's where I was talking about body language earlier. He's not going hard. He's trying to get you to run like they're running a press. And then he just waits on you. So when you see him come out kind of like not really trying to get you, he's trying to seal you. So he came out like that, and I said, oh, this is reverse. Boom! And I was gone, you know? So it was just certain things like that. But that focus in that first game, because I feel like when you can get that laser focus, you don't have it every game. But that was my first game. I was so hyped. I wish I had that focus every game because it's inconsistent. But that's why you prepare to try to get as close as you can to those type of games, because there were certain games you had that focus where you could see, you know, out to the tackles when you're looking straight ahead, or some games they would be in here like this, looking through a tube, and then you're like, man, how do I get this? But that laser focus, I had that first game, and that was just to make it to the NFL, and you know, and having that opportunity, I wasn't gonna, you know, take it for granted.
So my signature moment came a few years later. The whole AFC East was at stake, and we had the Atlanta Falcons here at home. Chris Chandler was their starting quarterback, but they also had the #1 overall draft pick just sitting there, and he was waiting. And that guy by the name of Michael Vick, and so he was there, and he did ultimately get into that game. But you racked up 14 tackles. I got to read all this because the stat line is pretty long. 14 tackles, 1.5 sacks, a pass defense, and you spearheaded not one but 2 goal line stands in the second half. One that came with under a minute to go in the game, and it's a game that we ended up only winning by a touchdown. And you had some big time collisions in those goal line stands. They had a guy by the name of Maurice Smith. They had a fullback named Bob Christian. And that, when I think about you and your career, like that game symbolizes Zach Thomas, middle linebacker. What do you remember from that game?
I remember having the rhythm in that game. You get that rhythm at times and it flows well. But I do remember that goal line hit on 4th and 1. And I got whiplash from it. Got a bone bruise on my C7. I couldn't feel my hand, and I'd have this excruciating pain going down. And so when we played Baltimore that year, I had a lot of hits that game too, and man, every hit just like almost felt like it was like down my neck, everything. I couldn't use my head, and so it took the off season to recover.
Oh wow!
But I wasn't gonna miss a playoff game, man.
Zach, man, can you really talk about receiving the ultimate individual honor in this game, man? Not only that, man, but as a Miami Dolphin, the 11th Miami Dolphin to go into the Hall of Fame. I mean, you're joining an elite group of men that represent the city, this franchise, the fan base, everything that you represent, man. I mean, what does that mean to you?
It means everything, because being 12 years here with the Dolphins, I made a lot of relationships, strong relationships, not just teammates. Seth, I mean, think about it. Stu, I mean, I go around the whole building. Shoot, me and you, Stu and Izzo would go Friday night movie and a dinner.
Oh, yeah?
The mandates, right? Like, we would just go out and cry during Titanic and stuff like that. Like, we always did movies every week, and that was what, but it's the relationships. If I go around that building that we had in Davie, if you go to the training room, I mean, you got Ben, you got Troy. It's just good people, man. Like, you go to the equipment room, Tony, Joe, Charlie. That's what it's about for me, because all that hard work, we saw the hard work, and you got abused, but it was love. But because you got assigned by Jason, another Hall of Fame, assigned to him too. So we got both of us together, 2 divas. So it was, but that's what it means to me, because everybody knows their part, and they're all everybody I was mentioning was in my wedding. You know what I'm saying? That's the bond. That it all started at the top, especially with Haziga. And now to Stephen Ross, I feel like it's always a family base, that it's not just the teammates, it's from the front office to the operations. Everybody is just family, and that's what I'm proud about. As for Miami, I mean, they always have my back, through all those years, and even the fans, man. Jim Porter, the president of the Hall of Fame, said, "I'm glad you went in, because we post anything that didn't even have to pertain to like the Dolphins, and they would put Zach Thomas in." He said it was so annoying, but that's the love.
Sam for Pufferville's going nuts right now.
Oh man!
They say, "What team is this logo remind you of? What player?" Zach Thomas.
but I told him.
So
I
he
said,
felt it. The president of the Hall of Fame he felt the Miami Dolphins fans and the pressure.
Big time.
Oh, I love it.
And they all talk about it out there on the hall, the staff and everything. And I told them it was me that announced it, sitting in like, "Hey, put Zach Thomas in."
You got that Twitter burner.
Yeah. So, but that's what it's about. And then representing, your teammates here, and we all, I wouldn't change a thing, man. We went to battle with each other, but back to those relationships, it was awesome, man. It's awesome and proud to be, a Miami Dolphin going in with JT and Marino and all that, 10 others pretty much. That's pretty special, man.
Nobody realizes and talks about how great a job the Dolphins do with their former players, with an organization. It's like it's second to none.
Yeah.
It really is, man. And you talk about Nat and Tom and Mr. Ross, man, but the player, everything about it is just the biggest family. I mean, we talk to guys that played on the perfect season team, all the guys that played this year, and everybody in between. It's pretty impressive.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I mean, how we all stay connected.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. The whole family. That's how they get a family feel. It's not just you're done with the team. They're done with you. You know, it's they keep you connected. And I know I'm busy. Nat's always blowing my phone up, but I'm grateful for Nat because when I need something, I'm always calling.
I'm glad you came clean. I'm glad you came clean though.
Always.
He made it sound like, I pick up my phone anytime anybody calls.
It's so funny because when he does come out, he like sneaks up. You know, I'm in the suite. I'm like watching the game. He sneaks up and like, "What's up, Juice?" Like, "Oh, Zach's in the building." You know what I mean?
That's right.
We get it.
Yeah,
that's for
That's
sure.
great stuff. Really cool. Well, again, so thankful that you are here. I know we kind of gave you a hard time, or I gave you a hard time about the 17 interviews that you did before you got here back in the fish tank. But the truth is, you helped put us on the map because back in 2018, you were one of the first guests we ever had. And, you know, if you didn't do that, who knows what we'd be doing something else maybe.
Probably.
Juice, for sure.
Probably.
So we do appreciate that. And so Juice always talks about how the offensive guys love the 2-minute drill, and they're trying to, you know, really, that's when they come alive and they're using the timeouts and calling the plays and working the defense and trying to score the touchdown, and defensive guys just want to get off the field. But I feel, Juice, like a Hall of Fame linebacker wants more than just getting off the field.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna, and I know you love hard-hitting questions, and I know you love being surprised. We're gonna throw some things at you that are fast-paced. It's a 2-minute drill. We're gonna start the clock. I see Eric's getting it ready. And, you know, let's see how Zach Thomas handles the final 2-minute drill.
I got this. I got Sam and Pat on the outside, JT and Trace rushing, Timbo in the middle.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Clock is
4
running.
or 5 down linebacker here. You know he's on the field. You know what I mean?
go.
So no
Yeah,
matter
Enzo
what
made
it
sure we
is.
knew that as well.
Yeah, right. All right, here we go. All right. As soon as you were named to the Hall of Fame, you did what we expected, and you gave credit to your teammates. If you were in a barroom brawl, which teammate would be the guy you'd want on your side?
No question. That's easy. Timbo.
Timbo?
I knew it was going to be Timbo.
Grown ass man right there.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, man. That's my guy.
He is definitely the guy you would not want to be on the other side of, for
Damn
sure.
right, yeah.
Okay, if you had to retake your SATs, which teammate would you want to help you with the test? And I'm just put help in quotes.
I took the ACT. Okay. And I did take it twice. I had to take it twice.
You do what you got to do.
So I don't want, I wouldn't want too big of a gap. It would throw up a red flag. So it's, I'd say Izzo.
Wait a second. So you don't want like a Tim Ruddy or a
Trace or anybody?
Izzo's smarter than he looks, man, you know. Okay. So he went to Rice. So that's my guy. He is a smart guy. I like to bust his chops because that's my boy, you know.
He said he doesn't want too much of a gap.
No, I don't need that.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense.
Trace,
It wouldn't
Tim
make any
Ruddy,
sense.
any of that stuff, they're going to be like red flag.
1,500.
We're going to see if they're the same missed answers on all these tests. Right.
I love it. I love it. All right, clock is running, as Jimmy would say.
All right. So what if you needed tickets to a red carpet movie premiere? Which teammate would you call?
Red carpet?
Yep.
This guy.
Big Seth.
Not me.
You know everybody. You know the mayor, man. I mean, you're my teammate because you know everybody who.
I call him all the time.
But if not, if it's teammate, it'd be you, Juice, because you know everybody as well. So, but
Juice will get you in the door.
I go, oh, you
I can make a phone call for you.
Oh, you make the phone
I
call.
like it. You know what though? I appreciate being a teammate.
No,
Thank you for that.
Oh, for sure.
We're all teammates.
100%.
We're all teammates.
I appreciate that. All right, here's a tough one. You need to pick one former teammate to win the tag team beer chugging championship.
Oh God.
Who's your guy?
Shane Burton, man.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the
Class of
Corona
96.
Yeah.
Hey.
Wow, that's a good one. Big Shane.
Let me tell you, at the Elbow Room
Yep.
one time, I won a chugging contest, and it was versus old man with a white beard. Looked like Uncle Jesse on Dukes of Hazzard. So it's like, I just remember, and I pounded that. They said, you won. They came out with a beach chair and an umbrella, and they gave me all this. And
It was a real contest.
it was a real contest.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm
Good
saying.
friends, like
I was very proud of it.
Yeah, damn right.
I was
Just win,
intimidated.
baby.
This
Just
guy
win.
looked the part, man.
Like he's been doing it forever.
Yeah, and so
Well, right up there with Pro Football Hall of
That's-
Famer,
I'm gonna put it.
Elbow Room beer chugging champion.
I think so. Put it right by the
Over-
bust. Put the umbrella. I don't still have it, but I was proud of
it's
that
too
moment.
funny.
What's the hardest you ever hit someone on the NFL field?
I would go all the way back to high school, man. My best hit was junior year quarterback that I hit. I hit him to the moon, man. It was like one of those hits but I remember the backup came in, threw a Hail Mary on the next play, and they tied us in the game. But
should have left the guy in the game. Way to go.
We've had games like that. We didn't want to take the starter out, right?
Yeah,
that Chris Chandler game.
So that was my best hit. It was a
wow.
So
you peaked in high school is what
it
you're
was
telling us.
still a good hit, man.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. All right, one final question for you here in the 2-minute drill. We know, again, we talked about it being a matter of when and not if. We know that not only applied to you getting into the Hall of Fame, but how soon into your enshrinement speech can we expect this tough-hitting Texas linebacker to just start crying like a baby?
Pretty early.
Early and often, baby.
Once I start talking about family, I think.
Yeah.
If I get my mom and dad in there, I think it's going to get me. But I got to prepare for that because, you don't get much time. You don't want to be up there sobbing. You know what I'm saying? And not getting words out.
Bringing out Kleenex and the whole thing.
People that don't know, it's a linebacker. It's a linebacker.
I know. Exactly. I mean, this guy, come on, man.
Everybody knows you, though, Zach. Everybody knows you,
Well,
bro.
that was the 2-minute drill in 4.5 minutes, Juice. But it was worth every second of it. And a lot of jokes, a lot of fun. And I'm sure that's not going to stop with us. And if it ever does, I think we'd be disappointed. But all seriousness, if we can take a second here and stop the jokes, really, really happy for you, man, and proud of you. And it was an honor for me to be some little small part of that journey. I tell Juice, class of '96, man, we'll never forget it. Right. And, just excited for you. And I can't wait to see you up there in that gold jacket.
Hey, appreciate it. It's going to be a good time and can't wait. And you better be ready for the party, man.
Oh,
come on.
I'm ready.
He's already
he's going to be asleep, but we got this, Zach. I'll handle it. He's going to be. He got bedtime, you know what I mean? But we got this, bro.
Get up pretty early.
I've already got my flight and everything. I can't wait. Looking
awesome,
forward. Me and my kids are coming. So
it'll be good, man, to reconnect with everybody, right? Yeah. So it's going to be fun, man.
Dude, I've got everybody's going to be there. Yeah. So it's going to be real dope.
Awesome.
It's going to be real dope, man. Hey, thanks for diving in, Zach.
Yes, sir.